'Twas a cold winter's night when the fireplace was tame, where a boy named Cagley was remaking a game, or a level from a game, to be more precise, a level with cold winds, snow, and ice. Freezeezy Peak, the level was named, a winter-themed level from the Banjo-Kazooie game. That bear and the bird would run through the hills, jumping and flying and smashing her bill. It took him some time, a few years had been spent, typing and clicking away Cagley went. But now it is finished, he's finally done, so sit back, relax, we've only begun.
Hey. Welcome to my channel, where sometimes I remake classic levels and assets from my favorite games. Another holiday season is upon us, and I thought it would be a great time to show you my remake of Banjo-Kazooie's Winter Wonderland, Freezeezy Peak. This is actually the first Banjo-Kazooie level I ever worked on, even before the Spiral Mountain video, which I shared almost a year ago now. Needless to say, I'm happy to have it finished in time for Christmas, and I'm really proud to show it to you today. Oh, hey Mr. Cockroach. Well, I'm just showing the audience what I've been up to lately. You know, to tell you the truth, Mr. Cockroach, I'm actually trying to catch Santa Claus in the act, on camera. Trying to stay up real late and catch him in the act. Could you know how big that would be for my channel? If you ever talk back to me like that again, I swear to God I will squish you, I'm not kidding. Anyway, without further ado, turn the lights down, put a log on the fire, and grab some eggnog while we take a look at my remake of Banjo-Kazooie's winter-themed level, Freezeezy Peak. Oh God. Oh yeah, that's milk. That is spoiled milk. Oh my God, that is... Oh, I'm gonna throw up. So that was my remake of Freezeezy Peak, made from the ground up using Blender and Unity. As you could hopefully see, like my previous remakes, I tried to maintain the original look and feel of the level, while at the same time enhancing the atmosphere and fidelity of the environment using more modern tech. Big thanks to wannabe composer 64 once again for his rendition of the level's iconic soundtrack. You can check out the full arrangement on his channel, which I'll link in the description. I couldn't have done it without him, so huge thanks again for his help. My main goal with this series is to evoke a certain feel, bringing our memories of these levels to life in a modern context. I hope that this serves as a faithful remake of the original level. Let's take a closer look at some key areas and highlight the changes I made overall. Dropping into Freezeezy Peak, you may notice a stark contrast between the bright and cheery atmosphere of the original level and the more cozy nighttime feel I went for here. I'll get more into why that is and how it was achieved later on in the breakdown, but I think it paid off, as Freezeezy Peak is right at home with this heavier mood. At the center of this level is the iconic giant snowman. That's actually his name, go figure. I tried to keep this guy's proportions similar to that of the original model while rounding out any harsh edges. I had created a few item pickups in my previous level which you can see around the base of the snowman, like the notes and mumbo tokens. I did have to make a few new models for a few collectibles and the like, such as feathers, gold feathers, which between you and me are the same model as the regular feathers, as well as the flight pad and shock jump pad. These collectibles are scattered throughout the level and feature pretty heavily around the snowman. Near the entrance of this level we can see Boggy's igloo in this little alcove. Typically, I try to model as many interior environments as possible, but in order to get this video out on time, I had to stick with just the main level. I might upload a revised cut of the trailer with some new environments, but for now we'll just have to use our imaginations. Down the slope we can hook a right and see another point of interest, that being the Christmassy village. I think the light streaming out of the windows really adds a bit of warmth to the level. I really wanted to balance the coldness of the peak with the warmth of the holiday season, and I think seeing these cozy brick houses tips the scales in a nice way. Along the edge of the level we can see a freezing pond with a mumbo hut along the way. In this area I really wanted to experiment a bit with lighting, as there's a pretty striking amount of blue light here in the original level, and these lights play pretty nicely with the aurora effect that I added off in the distance. On the opposite side of the level we have a few more points of interest. First there's the big Christmas tree, already adorned with the luminous twinklies. A few steps away from the tree we have one of the more memorable landmarks from Freezeezy Peak, being the wonderfully wrapped gifts that serve as platforms over here. I had to individually recreate all the patterns used here, and the process of recreating these patterns was certainly a unique challenge. Up here is another entrance to a sub-area that I just didn't have the time to cover here, Waza's Cave. Despite not having the time to model the cave itself, I did make a model for the elusive ice key, so here's that. I think it's about time to take a closer look at a few of the character models that feature in this level. First of all, we have a couple of familiar faces that I already had on hand, such as the Jinjos and Bottles. The Jinjos were covered in my last remake video for Mumbo's Mountain, and Bottles was covered in his own video. If you want a deeper dive into how these characters came together, check out those videos on my channel. I worked real hard on them. As for the new character models, I have a few friendly and a few not so friendly faces to show off. First off we have Waza the Walrus. This chill guy hangs out near the entrance of his very own cave, and doesn't do too much else at the moment. I took special care to replicate the bumps on his skin, trying to smoothly blend between the different hues and textures present on the original character model. He's got big old teeth too. Let's hear it for his big old teeth. Next up we have Boggy the Bear. He's a big old bear and may or may not have eaten an entire Jiggy, so he's going to be out of commission for a while, but hey, he's here. Honestly, if you imagine this guy just a little bit smaller, without as much of a belly, and maybe some brown fur, maybe a little backpack, some yellow shorts, kind of makes you think. Freezeezy Peak is also home to a couple of unique enemies that I took the time to recreate as well. First up is this Ice Dude. I'm just going to call him Ice Dude. He has a name, but I'm just going to call him Ice Dude. He was pretty simple to put together for pretty obvious reasons. I kind of like the translucency effect that he gives off, kind of like frosted glass. This kind of material was used quite a bit in this level, particularly for the crystals dotted throughout the far corners of the map. This allows for cool effects when hiding items behind these objects. Finally, we have the iconic Sir Slush. Sir Slushes are nefarious snowmen who will throw snowballs at anyone who crosses their path. I spoke to them before the presentation though, and they shouldn't cause too many problems. If they do get out of hand, their hats have a weak point, highlighted by a big red X. That about does it for this general overview of Freezeezy Peak. All in all, I'm pretty dang proud of how it all came together. It took a lot of work and a lot of experimentation, but I think it turned out pretty good. I hope you enjoyed that closer look at my remake of Freezeezy Peak. I sure worked real hard on it. Mr. Cockroach, I have the power to end your life right here, right now. Do not fucking test me. Now, I think it's time to look even closer, peel back some layers, and get into the nitty-gritty of how this all came together. So, in my previous remake videos, I went into the techniques I used to refresh the geometry and materials, retopologizing on top of the original game's geometry, and smoothly blending between PBR materials using vertex colors. However, most of that was actually already done by the time I started working on this particular video, so I don't really have any footage of myself putting this level's geometry or materials together. And I don't really want to repeat myself too much, so if you want a deeper explanation of the basics on how I tackle these levels, definitely check out my previous episodes on Mumbo's Mountain and Spiral Mountain. One of the biggest creative swings that I took with this remake had to do with the lighting and atmosphere. The original level is quite bright, almost as if it takes place in the middle of the day. If you look up, however, you'll notice that the skybox suggests that this level takes place at night. So for this reimagining of Freezeezy Peak, I decided to lean into that aspect of the level. I tried to maintain the colorful nature of the original game, while more strongly conveying that this level takes place on a cozy winter's night. One of the ways that I achieved this was with the skybox. I used Unity's procedural skybox tools with the Sky and Fog volume to sculpt a skybox that echoes the original game. Using this built-in tool, I could adjust the given values to make the sky consistent with a high altitude in the real world. This override lets me tint the horizon and zenith, so I tweaked those until it resembled the original sky. Finally, I plugged in a star cube map I got on the asset store, and bada bing, it's nighttime. After getting the basic sky colors done, I added a cloud layer override and enabled lighting and procedural distortion. I've used the cloud layer system before in my Spiral Mountain and Mumbo's Mountain videos. It basically just uses a panoramic map with different types of clouds assigned to the 4 channels of the cloud map texture. You can mix and match these different cloud types and even make your own cloud map if you're so inclined. Enabling lighting gives the clouds a lot of depth, reacting to the rotation of the scene's main directional light. Speaking of, I gave my directional light a custom sun disk, and now we got a moon. Finally, I used a noise texture as my directional light cookie to better simulate light passing through clouds, and that's how I created the night sky over Freezeezy Peak. The best part of this is that it's all procedural, so I could change individual values on the fly. This saved a lot of time when compared to baked skyboxes and allowed for more dynamic effects like moving clouds. This is very similar to the methods that I used for my previous level remakes, but this is the first level set at night, so I really wanted to sell that aspect as much as I could. Not only is Freezeezy Peak set at night, it's also set in the winter high up on a mountain, and special care was taken to sell that aspect as well. This was achieved through a few different methods, which, when combined, really added to the level's atmosphere in my opinion. One of these methods was the use of volumetric fog. This is an evolution of height-based atmospheric fog, which itself is an evolution of distance-based fog, which has its roots in early 3D games. This was often used as a way to mask low draw distances or create a thick atmosphere, such as in Silent Hill on the original PlayStation. Volumetric fog, on the other hand, is quite a bit more sophisticated and complex. It basically simulates the passing of light through particles in the air. Imagine the sun beaming over the hills on a misty morning, or moonlight blasting through the cracks of a dusty cabin. The vapor and dust particles diffuse the light in the atmosphere, causing a God ray effect. This can be replicated in modern game engines with volumetric fog. How does it work? I don't know, doesn't matter. I use it here mainly to simulate both the feeling of being high up on a mountain as well as the effect of far off snow. Another big benefit of volumetric fog is the potential for volumetric lighting. You can see a few instances where I used lights to achieve effects like light shafts and the glow of the star atop the big Christmas tree. The other method I used to simulate a wintry sort of vibe was through the use of a particle system. Particle systems are effects that use hundreds, thousands, heck, even millions of little particles interacting with the world around them. Particle systems have been around since the dang Stone Age, 1982, and have been used to simulate everything from fire and smoke to water and, yes, snow. This right here, outside of this window, it's a particle system. I'm not even real. I'm a 3D representation made in a 3D program blender to kind of emulate the Rankin Bass stop motion style like Christmas shorts. I'm not even a real guy. I tricked you, I'm not even a real guy. Unity used to have a tool for creating particle systems called Shuriken, but they kind of just messed that all the way up in recent years, so I made this particle system with Unity's more recent VFX Graph system. VFX Graph uses visual blocks to create GPU-based particles and VFX in-engine. It's pretty powerful, but honestly, I don't know what the hell any of this does. So I found a tutorial online and followed that and changed a few parameters to fit the scale of the scene, and bada bing, snow. Combining these two effects together really sells the cold atmosphere I was going for, while still letting some warmth slip through the cracks. And that's what Christmas is all about, baby. Freezeezy Peak wouldn't be complete without its characters, and each one had its own challenges and methods of putting together. Take Ice Dude, for instance. As you can probably tell, he was pretty simple to model. I just took a cube, beveled it a little, and yeah, that's Ice Dude. A trick I use when making new characters for Banjo remakes is that I'll take my pre-existing characters and just sort of copy and paste elements I want to reuse or use as a base. I do this a lot with the eyes, as the system I came up with for moving pupils and blinking does take a bit of time to implement, and it's just easier to reuse assets I've already made. No matter what they tell you in school, it's okay to take shortcuts sometimes. If it makes sense and doesn't detract from the end result, be as lazy as you need to be. After this grueling modeling process was complete, I slapped the ice material I had handy from the crystals and icicles onto this bad boy, and that was pretty much it. Rigging was as simple as making a bone for the cube and a bone for the eyes, and I threw together a quick little idle animation. As for Freezeezy's other enemy NPC, Sir Slush, I used the same method I used to model pretty much everything else in this project. I started with the N64 model as a base, and retopologized that with a higher poly count model. The materials were done a bit differently than what I usually do for characters though, because Sir Slush's textures are so simple, I decided to just use vertex painting in a similar way to the environment, giving him a simple snow material for most of his body, and fading out to a transparent material for his bottom end. I went with another simple idle animation for this guy. I decided against the headache of programming his iconic snowball throw move, as well there's nobody really around for him to hit at the moment. Waza and Boggy were done pretty similarly to one another, starting with my trusty N64 retopology method, and bringing them into Substance Painter for the materials. Substance Painter has a ton of features that I don't always understand, so I kept it pretty simple. Painter lets you layer complex materials and blend between them using masks. This makes the texturing process super fast and honestly pretty fun. I mentioned in my bottles video that I used a custom fur brush in Substance for that character, and I used the same brush here for Boggy. If you're interested, the link to that brush will be in the description. With the textures made and exported, I made some super simple rigs and idle animations for these characters and called it a day. I think populating the world with these characters lends a lot of life to the scene, which is exactly what a place as cold and lonely as the top of a mountain needs. Remaking this level has been a crazy experience for me. I first started working on this level back in 2021 before I really had any plans for this YouTube channel in the first place. Revisiting and finishing this level was really special to me, and I hope you enjoyed it. Took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but I would say it's worth it. I hope you think so too. Thanks for the memories, Freezeezy Peak. I guess that brings our journey to an end. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into my remake of Freezeezy Peak, and I hope maybe you learned a thing or two about 3D art, game design, and the magic of Christmas. If you did, leave a like, it would really help out the channel. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button, it's free. And if you want to be notified whenever I upload, hit the bell too, it's also free. Okay, that's it, Mr. Cockroach. I've been patient with you. It is time for you to die.
Taggy!
Huh? Holy baby, it's Santa Claus!
Ho 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 ho! Merry Christmas, Caggy, you've been such a good boy.
Wow. You know, Mr. Cockroach, I may have been rough on you, and for that I apologize. It's moments like these where I truly believe that I've found the true meaning of Christmas. Oh wait, I gotta get this on camera. Thank you guys so much for watching. This video took a lot of work, a lot of animation, a lot of coordination, so I hope you enjoyed it. I got a lot of plans for the new year, so stay tuned for more videos like this and some more smaller gaming videos. So yeah, I'll see you in 2024, and have a happy holiday. Mwah.